Are we live? Am I live? We're having a bit of a technical glitch today because I tried to go live like a moment ago and it said you are live and then it says you're not live. So I don't know what's going on now at the moment. I feel like I've got a technical glitch. So I'm just going to wait to see if anyone posts a comment to let me know if I'm live, because when I go to the channel, I think it says I am live. Yes, I am live. Yeah. Okay, cool. We are now in. So if anyone joined the previous live, which was about a minute ago, it might have cut you out. Hey, Eddie, thank you. Great to have you here. Technical glitches, dude. Technical glitches. I hate it when glitches happen. Because literally, like, as I'm talking to you, I'm now trying to edit stuff because when EV Mux and YouTube kind of have what I call is a miscommunication, it means that things are not set up properly. So I'm very quickly just going to go and add in some settings, hit save. Right, cool, we're good to go now. How are you doing, Eddie, by the way? And how are things in your world with WordPress and your blog? And obviously, you know, everything else you're doing, affiliates and all of that. How are things in your side of the world? Um, and how are you finding it? Because I know you've been doing this now for, well, it's more than a year now, isn't it? Are you finding that it works for you in terms of affiliate commissions, sponsorship, adverts, um, subscriptions? You know, how are you finding it, Eddie? And is that the only? I mean, I know you do a lot of that with your WordPress and your blogs and all of that, but do you also do other stuff as well on top of that? Because it's an interesting thing. You see, I've never really got to ask you specifically. Is this a side hustle and you have other businesses or more side hustles? And you don't have to answer, Eddie, by the way, but I think kind of be interesting to find out a little bit more. By the way, if anyone does want to join the live chat, you can do, but you have to be willing to participate in question answers, comments, speaking, talking about. Oh, just realized my hair's a bit funny over there. You know, if you want to talk and discuss things as well, mainly because I can't just let people join that just sit there in the background. You will have noticed like there are some people that join, I now remove them very quick because otherwise it just becomes like you're watching people work, which is a different kind of channel. Hey, friendly girl, my stream glitched. Your stream did not glitch. It was actually me. I went live, but YouTube struggled, and then just as it connected, I'd already gone and hit end broadcast, so it went like that, and it was like, so I had to go and set things up again. Eddie, it works fine. You don't do AdWords. Do you know what? I feel like AdWords is such a pain in the ass these days, especially with Facebook. Um, if you've ever done Facebook marketing, they've made it so tedious to set up. Hey, Maddie, I saw your email and I replied. I don't. I haven't done much with Sender and connecting to WooCommerce, so it's not something I'm a major expert on. Hey, Zaki. Hey, Hossam as well. Don't worry, friendly girl. It was all me. Um, hey, guys. Oh, what's this? RTV's just sent something, a message for something. Oh, sorry, it was for something else. That's okay. Don't worry. Yeah, so an interesting topic cropped up with regards to some people who are like, they have a potential client. Hey, Paul. And the potential client has like a 96-page website. Hey, Tarkangas. And the website was built with Drupal or something. It was mentioned in the Web Squadron Facebook group. And the trouble is that for some people, they want to switch over to WordPress. They got 96 pages to rebuild, and they're a little bit worried about how to cost it. And I kind of go, think of the amount of work you're going to put in. Think about how long you think it's going to take you from A to B. Maybe you've got to collate who's providing the content. Are you lifting exactly what they had on the other site? Do you have to go away and change images or whatever? Do you need all 96 pages? Because many times when you talk to a client and they go, oh, I've got an existing website and it's like, I don't know, 30 pages, I might look at it and go, you only need 10 or 9, or you got 5 pages and there's just like literally like that amount of text. They haven't even got an image, they just got a title and that amount of text. And we're not talking about posts. You can get away with it in post, but I'm talking about, sorry, I just burnt my hand on my hot water bottle then. I'm not talking about posts, I'm talking about pages. If you've got, say, 5 services pages and you're trying to promote from an SEO, I would look at their SEO analytics and I would say, so you got 5 services pages, you got keywords, but you're not getting much traction, like literally at all. So, hey, George, so rather than having 5 services pages with separate, SEO keywords per page, just have 1 services page. And this is with pre-existing clients. Now, if they can show that they've got like a page for services, for web design, for hosting and all of that, and they're doing really, really well in terms of, visitors and all of that, and what the visitors do, how long they stay on the page and whatever, and do they click onto something else, or do they bounce off elsewhere? If they can show they're doing really, really well, then they have justified the need to maintain a separate services page, 1 page per service. If not, and they're not doing well, then I would always say to the client, you got 96 pages. You don't need 96. You could reduce it down to 10. I hate all systems where it takes me more than 4 or 5 clicks. Even 4 or 5 is more than plenty. And it's like when we used to do analytics and you're working with hospital data or doctor data, and you say to someone, I need that file that was sent last month. And they go, oh, yeah, you go here. Then you go to this department. Then you go to the financial year. Then you go to the project. Then you go to who managed the project. Then you go to a list of other folders for images, PDFs, Excel, Access, whatever. And there you'll find your file. And I'm like, I shouldn't have to go through 7 areas to get to that. And I spent a lot of time when I was in the NHS with my team reshifting the way we do things. I basically said, if every year we do a project on demand management, capacity planning, asset management, GP practice-based commissioning, delayed transfers of care, there should be a folder for delayed transfer of care. I go in, there should be a folder called DTOC, delayed transfer of care. When I go into there, should be the relevant files. And if you use correct date formatting in your titles, I don't need a separate folder for 2022, 23, 2023, 24. No, I should be able to tell from the file, and when I do it in date order, the relevant or latest files. And when I got our department to shift to that, boy, did it make a change. It sped things up. Things weren't getting lost or like, where is that? Where do I go? What is the name of the file? And that's the logic I always apply to web design. Don't forget to smash like. When you have a web page with millions and millions and millions of pages, do you really need it? Okay. So, have a think about that. I've also had to put out a few friendly warnings in the Facebook Web Squadron group. So, someone said they couldn't wait to get back to using Elementor because they're currently working on a website with Squarespace. Someone then replied saying, that's exactly how I felt when I went from Elementor to Bricks. And then they listed, for this, for this, for this, for this, for this. And some people might go, well, so what? What's wrong with that? I've had to jump in because the original post was nothing to do with Bricks. Hey, Michael, nothing to do with Bricks at all. They're talking about how they can't wait to get back to Elementor because they're currently using Squarespace, right? And they would prefer to be Elementor. Fine. When someone replies with, well, instead you should have been using XYZ and here's why, because it's bloated or this or that, That for me is what I call a loaded response. And I am not going to allow loaded responses to become the norm in our group, because you know what happens? They then escalate. Then other people jump on, yeah, I agree with that, or I don't agree with that. Unless the question is specifically something to do with that, let's not go there. Right, Palav has said, I've applied the WebP code snippet. It's working great, and I uninstalled Smash Pro. Um, a few people, George as well, who's here, have been looking at the code, and we're going to try and take it a step further. So George has got some extra bit of code whereby it also modifies existing images. Aha, you what? Yeah, it does your existing images as well. Not so we got the bit of the code that does new, and there's another bit that does the existing. How cool is that? But we're just trying to see if we can take it a step further, maybe with potentially buttons or something, so that you can, while you're in media library, say, yep, convert that or don't convert that. But yeah, I'm really glad that code has helped. I mean, that is what I call game changer codes. Hey, John Cyanidis, how you doing? So I've had to be a little bit more. It's what I call moderation, okay? Because there are some Facebook groups out there where there's very little moderation. And I and a few others have reached out to the owners of some groups, and what they owners have said is that they can't be bothered with Facebook, which is fine. But if you're going to create a group, if you're not going to be bothered, you need to find other people who are. And I am not afraid of removing posts or blocking, because if I sense or detect that there could be a little bit of a personal attack within a post, or let's say someone puts a post on about bricks, and then someone else replies with, well, you should be using breakdance. Because that's got nothing to do with the bricks post, it's like a loaded response looking for a reaction. So I don't like loaded responses. There is actually Paul. How you doing? Hope you're okay, my friend. Yeah, if anyone does want to join in, you can do. It's totally okay. But yeah, there's loads of love for that WebP code snippet, which is exactly the intention of what we're trying to do. Um, with tons of plugins out there. And one of the ones that we keep talking about behind the scenes is eventually creating, like, we're going to drop Paul in. How you doing, mate?
I'm good. I'm good.
I'm guessing that you've either just finished recording a video or you're about to. The fact that your hair is nicely done, and you've got a good t-shirt on. I'm guessing you've just done a recording.
No, I've literally just popped on you to say hello.
Oh, to be honest, right, when I'm not recording or I'm not on camera, I look like total trash. Like I'm just like like that. My hair's all over the place. I can't be bothered sometimes. But yeah, how are things for you?
Yeah, it's all good. All good. Been a busy week, which is good. Looking forward to the run up to sort of Christmas and everything. I'm just digging into some new toys. I think I sort of posted up or did a video the other day
Tech
saying
stack.
about the tech stack, and I kind of expanded that a little bit as well with some other tools that I had that I kind of haven't looked at for a while, like BricsForge and Advanced Thema. I just digging into it a little bit more. It's like there's a lot of powerful tools out there that just on top of what you can do with bricks itself.
Yeah.
So, but I do understand what you were kind of going back to, where you just alluding to a little bit when I kind of hopped on about loaded questions and the sort of
Mm.
the negativity surrounding some of the groups and things. And I totally agree with you. There's no need for it. You know, everybody's at different levels, and everybody should never be afraid to ask questions. You know, there's no stupid questions. There's just stupid
Yeah.
answers. You know, everybody started somewhere. We didn't all start off with, understanding HTML, JavaScript, CSS, and just design in general. So I just think it should be a little bit more. It'd be nice if it's a little bit more welcoming in some places. You know, I'm not going to name names or anything.
No, no. Well, it's a bit like so I think something that me and I think a few others mentioned is that you've always got to imagine that if someone new joins a group, so like you got the WP Tuts group, you got my group, you got loads of different groups, someone totally brand new who's like either they're used to web designing or they're really brand new and they're shy, they could be a real introvert and they go, oh, I need a bit of help. And they find a group, they jump in and they just see like tit for tat. And even I
Yeah.
sometimes go, oh, why did I get involved? Oh, I should just, why did I even bother? You know, they see that and they sort of then go, I ain't going to say anything kind of thing, you know, and
No,
that's just it just defeats the object of what a community is.
I totally agree. I think this is why, Facebook brought in the anonymous posting because
Yeah.
people were afraid to ask questions and things. And much the same as you said a little earlier, I'm not afraid to kick people out if they're disruptive. They'll get one chance,
Yeah.
and if they carry on, they get kicked out because I don't think any kind of bullying or derogatory comments towards people and things is needed or warranted. And a community is only as good as the community, if you know what I mean. It's like once you get into this sort of this argumentative attitude or this snobbish attitude or this
Yeah.
elitist attitude, it's not good. It really isn't good. And I think there's so many better ways you could handle it. If you haven't got
Yeah.
nothing nice to say, don't say anything.
No, absolutely, yeah, and it's like you know when we go back to that interview that you did with Dave Foy last year with why did he come back to WordPress when he went to Webflow, and it was all to do with the community spirit, and it's just and I've mentioned this in a few live chats before that it's annoying when within WordPress we have there's too much tribal politics kicking in, stuff like that. And I got
Yeah.
one quick thing I want to say about that keyboard behind you with the red button, the mechanical one. Do you
Yeah.
ever use that, or have you got it just for the? Is that an old one, or do you ever actually use it?
No, it is actually pretty much brand new. But I bought it and I wanted a mechanical keyboard, and I like the feel of the mechanical keyboard, that one, but it's just too small. It literally is.
That is exactly the issue I have. So I've tried a few, and I have found that I have just found that the buttons are either a bit too close or a bit like you. You see, I'm one of those people that I like to have my number pad. I'm very
Mm,
much used to having it, even though I know people go, yeah, but you can use the buttons at the top. It's just force of habit. I like to. I mean, I only ever use my right hand for the numbers. This is actually a
we don't need
dead
to know.
hand. I'm
We don't need
right-handed,
to know.
by the way, but that's
We
literally
don't
all
need to
it's
know.
there for.
We really
So
don't need to know. No, it is a key. John saying it is a Keychron. I can't think which one it is, but it's a lovely keyboard. It really is, really nice feel to it, nice tactile feel. But I just found that I spent more time deleting the mistakes I'd made than
yeah,
actually typing, and it's just like I can't be bothered with that. It's like I like a keyboard that's usable, and I haven't got particularly big hands, but it was just a bit of a pain. So yeah, it's £100 ornament.
yeah. Well, I've resisted buying stuff just for the sake of it. I mean, there's so much stuff I used to have around me that is now moved over to the sides or isn't even in the camera anymore. And I look at them and go, what is the point of all of that? So obviously you shared your tech stack. Was there
Mm.
anything you got for Black Friday that was nothing to do with the WordPress licenses? Did you get anything for yourself or your wife or your son? What did for the home? Anything at
No,
all?
no. Grief.
No.
Um, no, the only thing I bought that wasn't WordPress related was the screen recording studios platform that I think Jamie shared a little while back. Do you know the one that everybody's kind of using that for some reason I'd never actually seen it? I can't think of the name of it. I think it's like Screen Studio, something like that. And
Okay.
I wanted so I've got plenty of other tools that do a very similar kind of thing. I
Hmm.
wanted that one because it looks good, and when I'm doing my videos, I try to do the show and not tell. So if I'm talking about something, instead of me having to go into lengthy detail about it, I'd rather sort of show a little clip of it when I'm talking about what it is, just to kind of
Yeah.
reinforce it. And I thought that was a nice way of doing it because I can quickly open that up, record the screen. It'll do all the zooms and the animations and things for me. I can export it. I can dump it into Final Cut Pro. And within the space of like a minute or so, I can have it in there and I can emphasize the point that I'm talking about. So it was worth the money for doing just that, for the speed. I kind of like, I've very much taken the mindset of if it can save me time or make my life a little bit easier, I'm happy to invest in it. If
Yeah.
it doesn't do any of those things, then it's probably just a bit of an impulse buy. But that's
No.
my kind of criteria.
No, that's cool. Friendly girl. So if you've got I mean, this might not be the answer you want, but if you've got an image carousel, and you set the images inside of there to be a set width or a set height, and make sure the display is set to cover, that will get you by. Because the obvious problem is that you're going to have different size portrait landscape. But if you set all of your images to be, say, 300 in height, and then set cover, it doesn't matter how big they are, they will all then fit within that. But then you've got to be very mindful of the image, because sometimes cover might not be your friend. If say my face was right at the top of the image, you might suddenly go like that kind of thing. So and 9 times out of 10, though, whenever I have had an issue, I just go back to the client and go, look, do you want me to remove the background so we get more breathing space, or do you want to get a new image, or but don't forget also, and I did do this for one person. You could go to something like Photoshop or Canva even. I mean, Canva's got it. You put the image in, and then you can now generate fill. It's called expand in Canva, and it expands the top. So if you were to get, say, Verdi and slice his head and expand, it would give him an afro like
We
that.
we don't advocate slicing Birdie's head though.
No, we
Just
don't.
just
No,
to
I
put that
meant
in,
like, yeah, just the image, but
just
yeah,
just to put a disclaimer out there.
yes. But I don't know. That might help, friendly girl. Uh, oh, hold on. Well, it depends. Right. You're using the image carousel. If you're using Elemental or Bricks or anything, I would just use the new carousel in Elemental. I mean, Bricks have had it since almost day one, because theirs is always almost like a nested. Well, it is a nested carousel. But the Elemental, the new carousel they bought out, oh, I don't know, 3-4 months ago, use that instead. And I actually do advocate people use that instead of the old Elemental slides, the old image carousel, all of that, because it basically is a slider, but you get so many more features with it and control. You could have image, image, video, image, image, loop grid. You could mix it up with whatever you want. Whereas the image carousel was very restrictive. So I think, yes, switch up. Oh, hold on, Mark. I just realized. Have you been there long, Mark? Oh, is your mic on, Mark?
No, it was
No,
off.
there
Sorry.
it is. There it is. Were you waiting there long? I didn't spot you. Sorry, I
No,
always
not
forget
long.
to look down.
That's the
Not long.
best he sounded.
Hi, Paul. Good to see you.
Hey Mark, how you
Do you
doing?
know
Buddy?
what? I do not know the history between you two, but I always feel like there's a story to be told. I always feel like there's this, like, either like you're like, I don't know, long lost twins or something about
Random.
non-identical as
Oh right,
well.
okay.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, Nick, by the way. Just checking the question that came in here. Maddie said something. She goes, "Oh, the new code snippets ID is a shortcut to not keep you." Yeah, I mean, look. Um, so Mark went and generated the code, and George refined the code so that you can now also convert existing images to WebP as well. But we just want to tweak and mess around and see if there's anything further we can do with that. But yeah, these code snippets, they're only really going to work if your host provider allows GD or has image magic within them. Most host providers do, so you should be all right. It reduces the need for a plugin. I would always say test it out. Test out against what you normally use. I've compared it to bulk resize, EWW, and Optimal, and I am massively impressed. In fact, do we even know what percentage it drops it down to? Because bulk resize is always 80 or 75%. I think it's around about 75. But you don't really lose quality. I've checked. It's really, really good.
Yeah, I tested it with a 25 meg image, and it took it down to, I can't remember now. It was still really small.
I think it's about 3%. I've noticed it
Right.
averages, no matter how big your image is, to about 3%, which is really, really good. Like, that is seriously good, because even bulk resize photos sometimes used to only go to 7-8%. So pretty good. I don't know if you've seen it, Paul, and don't worry if you haven't, but Mark Harris, he's the one sitting to your right, in case you weren't sure. He helped generate some code for converting images into WebP as a code snippet.
And this is the video you done a couple of days ago, yeah?
Yeah, and it was it's a great time saver, and it massively helps out directory websites, I think. You know, when you have people loading all sorts and you
Oh,
lose
yeah.
control, don't you? You tell them, no,
Or
it
those
must be
e-commerce
WebP.
store managers.
Yeah, I mean that you lose control over what they're doing and they just go and add it in. Alum Mia, what's the best image compression method? Well, there's a video
Funnily
we put
enough,
out. Yes, in fact, the video came out yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday. So go and watch the video yesterday. If you don't want to use the code snippet, I would always recommend you do it manually with bulkresizePhotos.com, because I feel like it's really quick and you know exactly what you're getting and what you're doing. If you weren't going to use that, EWWW is really, really good and it's quite affordable. Optimal is a little bit more pricier, but also it's not too bad. But there's
I like short
zillions of
pixel.
solutions.
yeah, I was going to say short pixel's good as well.
Yeah.
That's
Because you can
useful.
buy credit packs with that, so you can stay in
What is
control.
what's the rough cost of short pixels now? It's been a while since I've looked at that. Would you still say
I
it's
don't,
affordable?
yeah, I think so. I mean,
Yeah,
I bought mine via AppSumo ages ago, so I think I've got like about 5,000 credits every month or something like that. Which
Oh
the
wow.
nice thing with it is, especially if you work with clients, you
Mm,
can you can create sub accounts inside there are a part of your credits, and then you
yeah.
can assign that to their account. So it gives you the ability that if you want to have something off server, you know, so you're not taking up server resources, especially if you've got shared hosting, which can tend to be a little bit sort of, you
Yeah.
know, it's easy to bring that down or hit 100% CPU and RAM usage. You know, using something like this, which kind of offloads the compression side of things, can be very useful, especially on a busy site on a cheap server, could be useful.
yeah. And it's also worth mentioning Lightspeed Cache. So if you're using QuickCloud, that's got. I've had very mixed results with that, doing some really weird things to photos. So be careful.
Right. I'm just gonna hit a setting. No, I don't like that. I was just trying out a different setting just to see what it does, and I now realize it's not that good. Zaki's question is best AI image generating software. Right. This I'll tell you
Subjective.
I'll give you my take and I'll let Mark jump. I'm sorry, Paul, and then Mark, you're last of all, because I've got a feeling Paul probably uses more than you do on that. Might be wrong. Midjourney obviously was the one we were all talking about January last year. There's so much now, right? I mean, you know, Chat GPT with DALI, you know, there's Leonardo. It depends on what you want to go for. Canva, not brilliant, but you can generate stuff in there. You know, Firefly, all of that. Uh, the question back to you, Zaki, would be what is your intention for the image generation? Is this just for you to create stuff that you don't really care about? Are you going to sell it on? Is it for a client website? What is the need for it? Because I feel like if you're playing around, it's great. If you're trying to create a business out of it,
Difficult.
I still feel like it's very hit and miss, you know, with what you're going to get. But
But
Paul,
also,
I mean, to be honest, I haven't really got one because I play around with image generation, but I don't,
I mean,
because I don't
Leonardo,
use it as an income stream. It's not, but yeah,
no.
go on, Paul.
I mean, the first thing to take into account to kind of continue on what you were saying is obviously the copyright issue, because there's still a
Mm,
lot of issues around copyright. Who owns it? Because it's digital. It's, you know, is it what's it called? Generative. You know, those kinds of things.
yeah.
But what have I used? I mean, like I say, Leonardo is good if you want free. Midjourney is great if you want to pay for it, and it's worth it if you want to create good artwork. But also, if you've got a paid account, I don't know if you can do it on the free account with ChatGPT. Before, DALI was never that good. I always find it really sort of poor results, really weird things. But since I've been trying it out and testing it with, you know, ChatGPT, its integration with that, the results are considerably better. And I'm talking, you know, hands that don't have 17 fingers and disjointed elbows and things. You know, people look like people as opposed to these kind of, yeah, you know, you
Yeah.
generally only have that if you're mother and father or brother and sister. But you know, normally, sorry. Um, Yeah, it's an adults only thing, isn't it?
It is.
I'm going
It's
to avoid the
it's more.
Wales joke and move on quickly.
No, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
It is.
yeah,
DALL-E is better in ChatGPT than it was when I tested it several times before.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, from my point of view, I, a bit like Imran, have played around with it for my own amusement,
yeah,
and I have had some stunning results from Midjourney.
You can.
You really
It's
can get some great things.
it's all about prompts, understanding the prompts to get the results that you want.
yeah,
If you don't understand
Yeah,
prompts, you'll come back with generally hit and miss
yeah,
results.
absolutely right. Especially if you want photo real, then you have to
Yeah,
start
definitely.
sort of going into the tech taken with a Hasselblad or this sort of lens with this exposure. If no, I'm not going to go there. I was going to make some joke about professional photographers, but I'll leave it. Um, uh, Midjourney, I think, does still output the best quality, but for convenience, DALL-E and ChatGPT 4.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
I've mentioned a few times that I'm still waiting for that real powerhouse of some sort of video generation bit kit. And I know that, I mean, the Runway is the one I see a lot, but I don't fully understand it as much yet. But to be able to, like, let's just say you're outside, Paul. No, you're outside. Let's say you're doing a concert with your mates, right? And someone video records you, and you got this like 1 hour load of footage. You can stick it into a bit of kit, and it renders it, and you say, um, reimagine this as if I'm on a Star Destroyer, right? And it reimagines the layout and the wind, everything behind you, and it shows stormtroopers and whatever watching you playing, and you got stars behind. Something like that would be like amazing, to be able to do that. And I've mentioned to Mark the other day when I think you were here, Paul, as well. So when I'm running, I'm watching a lot of
Oh yeah,
virtual running videos to be able to take that and say, right, reimagine that 1 hour footage, pretend I'm in Middle Earth, and it reimagined it. I mean, it would be so super cool. But Runway is the one that seems to, whenever you see bits of footage, I don't know if anyone has seen it, but Runway is pretty good. But they always seem to be like 1, 2, 3 second bits of snippets here and there.
Yeah.
I think you're not talking about frame by frame work on that though. So
Yeah, well,
yeah,
I'm waiting for something that can literally. It's a bit like, look, if you take 1 hour footage and you stick it into video editing software and you say remove the background, it might take 30 seconds, but it will strip out the background. Or you can you can say, right, strip out my background, add in a green screen, even though that is not a green screen, and then put something there, and it can do it. But if we're able to one day take footage and to be able to re-render it or do something with it, I know
It's
some people are scared of that because they're a bit
it's
worried about
it's,
how
it's
it could be
coming.
misused, and someone could take, I don't know, someone could take a video of Paul's, literally take it, and they then change what you say, and they go, oh, look what Paul has said, kind of thing. Can't believe you said that, kind of thing.
deep
Actually, it would
fake.
probably be
Oh,
believable no matter what Paul says. We'd go, yeah, that sounds about right. But,
true.
so there are dangers, but I think I'm waiting for that, because I really feel like then I can literally go take a camera, grab some of my friends, and we can create that long awaited movie about Uranus.
Yeah, you lost me when you said go and grab your friends. Let's be honest, you
I
don't
know.
leave
To
the
be honest,
house. You don't leave
I'd
the
have,
house.
I'd have to hire people from Fiverr. I'd be like, come on, please be my friend for a bit of footage. You must come fully clothed. That's it.
Mm, yeah, he says on camera.
Yeah.
Fabian's got
Yeah,
a quick. Oh, sorry, go on. Was we going to say something then? Sorry.
yeah, just quickly yesterday we were talking about whether you offer web hosting to your clients, and one of the things you said reminded me of something, but only afterwards. And you said, "Well, I don't want to do it because if I die, people are going to be left stuck." And it reminded me that I've actually got a reciprocal arrangement with a web dev friend, actually a proper real life
A real
friend,
friend. I doubt. Yeah,
yeah,
but anyway,
of
yeah.
mine in Brighton to cover that eventuality if either of us totter off our mortal coils. So you can get round it.
Nice
What,
one.
dying?
No, well, yeah, kind of. Means there's
Hey,
sites to
John.
live on.
Hey, Johnny. How you doing?
Hi all. Yes, I'm fine. Thank you. Nice to see you again.
You too, you too. I like the lights that you got behind you. It's quite nice. That is. It's nice. It's a nice little background you've got going on there, over there with your office. I quite
Yeah,
like.
yeah. Thank you. Yes, I'm most of the time I'm working from my home, so have to make something out of it. Some nice space, like Paul also has, and I think Mark can use a light as well.
No,
Joke.
Mark likes to have all of his curtains shut.
But
Currently,
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
want people to know he's there.
Sorry, unlike
Kind
you
of.
yeah.
guys, I'm not a pro Twitch streamer in my part time.
Yeah.
That's true.
All right, quick question from Fabian. He goes, "Is there any way to scatter listing elements all over the place in a random order?" Well, I mean, I'm going to assume that, let's say you're using Jet Engine or you're using a loop grid or whatever, and you're not going to do it in date or name order, then you should have an option for random. I know it's an elemental. I can't remember if bricks have it. I think they do. And I'm pretty sure it's in Jet Engine as well. So unless I'm misreading the question there, Fabian, if you want to, I mean, you say scatter though, all over the place. Does that mean you want them all over the place just like that? Just, which sounds a bit weird, to be honest. You could do though. I mean, if you think about it, let's say you had a page and you put 5 loop grids. You could say offset 1, offset 2, offset 3. I mean, I wouldn't do that. So I might be misinterpreting the question there. I really do. I might be
With the loop grid,
misinterpreting.
what about the inject option? If you're kind of thinking you want to put some random content, can you? I haven't looked at it for a little while, but with the code injection, can you not randomize the injected content, or does that have to be static content every time?
I think you can, because someone was using something called FIFU, FIFU. I've never come across it, but they were using that. And they were injecting into it. I mean, to be honest, they were injecting a load of rubbish stuff and they weren't keeping on top of it. So they had posts coming in. One of the posts that came on their website was about women that do motor car racing in America.
Okay.
And he had a Pee Wee Herman post appear on his front page. Just because it had a picture of Pee Wee Herman in a car. It was like, I think you have to go through approval before you just automatically let these jump on your website. I mean, it was like the most ludicrous image to have on there. I'm just going to quickly run down because I feel like I always miss like loads of questions on here. Right, so Fabian says, if there's a way to display injected listing items, there you go. So Paul was kind of right there. I mean, I still feel like the random positions bit, it sounds to me like you're going to put your loop grid here, 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 offset them. I'm not sure how well this would work, though, in reality on the page. And I'm feeling a bit like, to just say random feels not very structured.
Well,
It's like...
makes it sound like, say you've got a loop grid that's 3 by 3, and when the page first loads, you've got your injected item
maybe an item
over here, and then you reload it, it's up there. But
do you know what? There is an answer for this. There is an answer. Find someone who's going to create the code for you, and they'll probably, some JavaScript. You're going to have to employ someone, I think, to proper satisfy that, because even if any one of us knew it, you're going to need a bit of funky JS code somewhere that's going to make sure that I think you're right, Mark, actually. I think that's what he meant. Does it appear in grid 3 or grid 6, and it moves around, maybe. Yeah, and Jake says more like a mosaic. Yeah, something like that. George, I've noticed you're responding to something that Maddie has said, so I'll let that continue and carry on at the moment. Now, Johnny, I know I know you've been working on that website, haven't you? The one with that fitness trainer one.
For a long time, yes.
Now?
It's yes, it's how do you call it? I just delivered it a couple months ago.
Excellent.
And then I get a question about the Google search results, why it looks weird. So then I put in, I did some SEO work as well for free. But
you never worked for free.
I have to learn. I have to learn a lot about web designing. It's much more than only designing a page for a client. In client's mind, it's everything, like you mentioned, Imran. But yeah, it's okay. It's my first website, so I want for me it's important that I have a happy client for my first few websites.
No, absolutely, yeah. And a good relationship with a client can hopefully lead on to word of mouth referrals, and especially because they were a boxing trainer. Hopefully people will notice that, and it leads on to stuff like that. Artif, I've noticed, has just joined in. Artif, if you want to jump along. George has said he would join along, but he's currently got a very noisy house, so we'll leave him on that. Quick question for Paul. What's your next video coming out? What's your next one you've got lined up? Or do you not want to say?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Do you know what? I've probably asked you this, Paul, met a long time ago, but I play a very dangerous game where I do so many videos and I try to keep them evergreen so they don't, so they're still relevant now or in 2 months' time. So I have quite a few videos scheduled up. Do you tend to do you just go on the fly or do it week by week and go, right, I'm going to do these 2 or 3? Or do you have an upcoming schedule, maybe for the next December or January, what you'd like to cover when you get a chance?
It's kind of like a combination of all. I'm notoriously disorganized when it comes to planning my life. But I do have a list of things that I want to cover. So, for example, I use an app called Craft, which is synchronized across all my devices. So it means that if you
said
can
craft,
see
not crap. He said craft.
Yeah. If you can see, it's like there's lots of different ideas. There's like videos that have been successful that need to be updated. And sort of that breaks it down into various different ideas. But I also go with things like, I'm very much if it interests me and I think it's interesting that I think other people would be interested in it, I'll create content about it. I'm not that forthright when it comes to the planning. If it did, maybe I'd get a lot more views on the videos. But I just kind of if something's interesting to me, especially when it comes to dynamic content and things like that, and tools that I think are exciting, I get excited to create content for it. If I've got to create content just for the sake of creating content, I find it really boring.
Do you know what? I mean? Do you know what? That's very interesting you say that, because people do approach us and they do say, oh, can you do a video? And, I won't record just because someone wants me to, or even if they want to pay for it. I've got to know that I'm invested in it as well, and I like it because of my audience, and I've got to feel interested. But when you do sometimes say yes to create a video, and this does not apply to the code snippet videos, Mark, okay, because I love doing those, but sometimes when you've got to do something, you feel a little bit of like, I've got to do this now. Oh, I said I would get it done by Thursday and it's now Wednesday and I haven't recorded and edited. You feel a little bit like, I've got to get it on with it now. Do you feel like you go through those kind of feelings or vibes?
Oh, absolutely. It's one of the reasons why when I first started doing any kind of sponsored content, I used to offer 1 video, 3 videos, and 6 videos, and you could kind of you'd save money if you bought more videos. So the impetus there was to buy more. In the same way you kind of do with web design and stuff, you kind of you incentivize it to get people, early adopters, on board to kind of do things. But what I found was it was very difficult sometimes to keep the momentum going. But also you kind of work with companies and you start off with, this is what we're going to kind of cover, and they would change. And I've had a couple of companies that did this, and I've actually given them their money back and cancelled the agreement, because if I'm agreeing to do something, let's just say, for example, it's company X is involved, or person X is involved with a couple of companies, but I don't know that. And it starts off with the one company they're talking about, I create some content on that, and then they shift midway through that agreement. I don't like that side of things. So I have several times given money back and just cancelled the agreements.
I found myself in that similar situation with a company who also were where the agreement was with them for their product, and then it started morphing into, right, can you also cover off other stuff? And I was like, no, that's not part of the agreement.
Yeah.
And they were a bit pushy about it, and in the end I just had to kind of like back off completely. Hey Artif, how you doing?
Hey guys,
Super
I'm good.
dry. Have you just had a shower?
No, that is
I got
sense of
special.
humour.
How you guys doing?
Good,
Yeah,
good,
we're
good.
okay. Yeah. So obviously, I think that is something that you know, I think I've mentioned previously before in that lots of us do get approached a lot. You know, sometimes nearly every day an email comes through from a real company. But what I really like is we always like to put our integrity first. And even though I have done the odd video here or there, like Termageddon, I use Termageddon, so I'm happy to do videos for them, or for Atarim, or for code snippets, or stuff like that, where I know I genuinely am using it. But there have been a few companies where they're prepared to pay, but I have this feeling inside that I could never fully justify doing a video for it, because it just feels, I don't know, it just feels dishonest. No, dishonest is the wrong word. I think all of
Disingenuous.
you could look at me and go, no, I bet you never use that kind of thing, you know. So
A good one, and you probably get the same as me, is hosting companies. I get
yeah.
lots of hosting companies
Oh.
contact me. And most of the time, I have no interest whatsoever. The only companies I actually work with have been SiteGround, which I paid for myself, Cloudways, which I still pay for now. I've got about 6 or 7 websites on there, and Hostinger, who I've started working with recently. And I will always either I'll be using them to start off with, or I'll actually go and pay and try them out, and I'll test out their technical support and their online chat and things like that, totally anonymously, to find out what's the actual experience like. Is it, you know, am I getting an optimized version of the server? Am I getting preferential treatment? I don't want any of that. I want to see, right, what would it be like if I had a problem? And that's why, like I said, I've got at least 3 or 4 companies in the last month have contacted me, hosting companies. And it's like, I'm not going to cover your information because A, I don't do reviews of software anyway, or things wherever money is changing hands. Any reviews you see, the things that I've kind of found that plugin or service, and I think it's pretty cool. Once there's money involved, there's no opinion at all. And all the videos start off with no opinion, you know, and I say, it's sponsored and I'm not going to give you an opinion. I'm going to show you how it works. You carry on and make a more informed decision from that information. And I think it's a more honest way of working than just going like, oh, they're willing to pay me $5,000 and I'll say they're the best hosting company in the world ever. It's like, it's not true.
No.
You know, they could be the best hosting company, but
I think people will see through that as well, to be honest. You know, there's some channels that I see where they're promoting stuff and you can, you know, it's sponsored and they maybe say it's sponsored, but it's so scripted. You can just kind of tell it's so scripted. And then people lose trust in what you're saying, and it affects your audience in general, I think, for you guys. If you start doing these things and they're going to question what you're generally posting videos about, is it true or not true?
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. I mean, a good example is one of the hosting companies that I did work with. They sort of sent the contract over and I disagree with several things in there, and they modified everything to make sure that it fell in line with how I deliver information and how I talk about things. And I say, I think that's important, you know, and I think you only get that with, you only do it more and you can become more confident knowing that the value is in what you can do for them, not the other way around. And if you don't like something they want you to do, then you should say no. In the same way as if you're building websites, if you don't agree with something that the client wants, you don't have to take the job. You know, you can stop it, you can give the money back, you can cancel the contract, whatever you want. And I think the same kind of applies with things like this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's iTree. I'm not rolling in money. Seriously, everyone, right? I'm not rolling in money. I don't have web design projects every week. I'm not getting sponsored all the time. But every web project or potential client that comes to me, if I feel a bit of doubt or paranoia, or I don't like where this might go or what's going to be asked of me, no matter what they're willing to pay, I don't want to know about it. And this is something that you've got to treat every project that comes to you like it's an opportunity, but don't go, yeah, I'm going to do it. Don't accept everything that comes through the door. If you just have that little bit of like that Jiminy Cricket moment going, when you wish upon a star, And you're a bit worried about it. That's meant to be Jiminy Cricket from Pinocchio, if anyone was wondering. But
I thought that was just
high
you.
pitch there. Now, Dave Den, he said something, and I've mentioned this a few times to Dave in live chats or stuff. In that, I know he's always conscious of like, so in his house, he's got quite a lot of people in the house, and he's always trying to find quiet moments. And he loves working with grids, doing loads of stuff with CSS grids and stuff like that. And I've told him so many times, there is an opportunity there for you, whether you want to work with Elementor or whether you want to do it with Gutenberg or bricks, doesn't matter. But if you start to really focus on CSS grids, you could really build his YouTube channel up with that. It's a bit like Andrea, who does, she does a lot of videos on GSAP and motion effects and stuff like that. And I've said to her as well, there's so many others out there that cover off different page builders. But if you really want to make a niche for yourself, because you do so much CSS grid stuff, Dave, really, really focus on that, and you will eventually get there.
Focus on your strengths and unique value proposition.
And I said to Dave before, but I've not watched many of his videos, but the ones I've seen have all been really good.
And he's upped his, and I have noticed, by the way, Dave, that I think in the last sort of like 4 or 5 videos, you've upped your background, and you're kind of doing what all of us have gone through. Seriously, Dave, we've all been there, where we start off doing our YouTube videos and we're sat in like a corner of a room somewhere. And the first stage of upping your level is, everyone seems to do this. We all go and buy a neon light, and it always is purple. For some reason, we always go with pink and purple because it seems to work nicer in the background. And then we start to go up, and then you start, this is now my 11th change of the studio. Paul's gone through a few. I mean, Paul's obviously now using a different side of his room, but how many times in your YouTube career, roughly, do you think you've like changed your layout? And I don't just mean changing a picture, but where you've actually changed the positioning or whatever. I mean, Artif is always sitting somewhere new. I don't know where he is sometimes. It's like,
this is one of the things I always don't want to do. This is one of the hesitations, because, whenever I do it nowadays, it's like everyone seems to have this professional background with like such a nice layout. And then there's me in like with my chair or just in my living room, it's like nothing. Okay, Mark's with me.
But let's be honest, Artif, though. What you're doing is you're literally going around. You're going to view houses for sale, and you're just and you're going. I've got another step.
Can I tell you a secret?
None of us can compete with John Ferris, though, can we?
Can I tell you a secret? I was going to do this, and I tried it with my phone, and the signal wasn't going to be good. I was going to try and do a live stream from IKEA. I was going to try and move from room to room while recording, and I just thought this is not going to work because it just. I thought, number one, I'll probably get kicked out. In fact, that would be the footage, me getting dragged out by my meatballs. Anyway, back to Paul. Back to Paul. How many times do you think you've changed your layouts?
Meatballs, Uranus. God, it doesn't get better.
I tell you what, they have good meatballs. Anyway, yeah. So, Paul, how many times have you changed, do you think?
5 times. 5 times.
5?
Yeah.
Wow.
5.
I think
that's...
I overdo it then, but yeah, 5, yeah.
That's only because, much the same as you were just saying now, it's like, since we had the dog and the little boy and everything, it's like everything in the house becomes noisier. But prior to that, I used to use the downstairs office, which is now just my editing space, but I set up 2 different kind of setups in there. Then I used my upstairs office when I had that. Then I built the studio. So you've seen the one with the Star Wars pictures, and then this is the latest one, like you say, which is like spin the desk around. But it's just nice to have something you can kind of mix it up a little bit, because I think it's a bit more interesting on camera. I mean, today it would be nice if you actually did turn your lights and your screen on, but I think obviously you're trying to save money. The electric bill's due to come in or something. So Imran's been a bit tight today.
Can I ask a question? Those things
Certainly.
on the shelf in the background. How long did it take you to plan what is going where and which one is going to be on the other side?
Honestly, about 10 minutes. It was one of those things. I bought the shelves, and I was thinking, shit, what the hell can I put on them? And it's like, what's going to look good? It's like, the keyboard, yeah, I like that. I know I'm going to use that. The Mac is the one that was originally in here. So it's all fully working. It's just I got a different one that I'm using now.
When
and
you've got
obviously
so
you've got
much
to
money,
put the plaque up.
Mac as an
You gotta
order.
go put it up. You gotta put the plaque up.
I mean, I
Gotta
would
put the
say
plaque up.
the hardest thing is actually the most worrying aspect is making sure you get the shelves on straight.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
that's the most stressful part. After that, what you put on there is almost like, nah, but it's more about you going, is it right? And also, what you also have to remember is that even though like what you have straight, when you then sort out your camera, if you don't have your camera angle right, it then looks bent, kind of thing. Like right now here, I accidentally nudged the camera, so I'm a little bit lopsided. But when I'm recording, I have here my metal ruler that I've had since 1990. I've had this since 19, and I sit there and I'm like that on my screen, going right. So this light over here is how far from the edge of the screen, and how far. Oh right, I need to nudge it. And I'm like that with the camera. It's just, and then I'm like this, going right at the bottom of the thing. Yeah, let's get that right there. So I mean, but that's my fault because often I sometimes accidentally nudge the camera, and I have to go and refine it.
That's OCD.
Artif, are you standing?
I am standing.
You are standing.
I'm trying to do this thing of not sitting down for too long.
Do we need to start a GoFundMe to get Artif a chair?
No. I have a very granddad chair. I'll show you my chair. It's a very granddad chair. But where I used to work ages ago, they had this thing where they were encouraging. They changed all the desks to these like standing and sitting down desks, and I found that it really helped. I'm just one of these people that talk to myself a lot. So when I'm trying to think, I'll end up just walking and talking.
We're not listening, Artif. You're talking to yourself now. We've all tuned out.
You're all in my imagination.
Yeah, we're not here.
Except you, man.
I'm happy that I can sit down.
That's it.
That's because Artif likes to be the smartest person in the room wherever he goes.
Yeah. No.
Clever.
Sorry, Johnny. Did you say like you like to sit down?
I like to sit down. I have 2 little children. One is 1.5. The other one is 5. So it's kept me busy all day long. So I'm happy that they are at school at the moment and I can sit down, relax.
Do you know what when I was in the NHS, one of the offices I used to work in London, they had a lot of standing desks. And my trouble is I always find out I can't just stand still. I keep moving side to side and moving my legs. So having the treadmill here when I'm doing it is wonderful. But I've always felt that I've always ummed and ahed about getting a standing desk here. And I feel like I just can't stay still. I'm always doing that with my legs or moving around. I mean, Paul, you've got a standing desk, but I don't.
I've got 3.
You got 3.
He's standing up right now. It's an illusion. It looks like he's sitting down, but he's standing.
Hold on.
I'm just very short.
How come you've got 3?
So I've got 3 desks.
No. Oh, Jimmy. Oh, obviously you got the editing room in it. You said something, so you've got.
Well, the thing is, we've got 3 rooms that I say it sounds kind of really grand, but the studio. I've got a studio which has got the stand desk in it, which I never use as a stand desk. I just sit down on it. I've got the one in where I edit, and then we've got a 4-bedroom house. So the one room was always my office originally, but since the missus started working from home, she's kind of taken over that room. So there's a sit-stand desk in there as well. So that's the reason why I've got 3 of them.
Do you use the standing aspect, or do any of you
sometimes? I do sometimes. It like Artif says, it is much better. You do kind of feel a bit more productive when you stand up. There's something about it that you're not sitting in the chair. It's a different position, and you do move around a bit more. And there's lots of. I mean, some people put a sort of like you say, not so much running machine under there, but you do have people that'll have something like that underneath, and they'll walk while they're doing it, or you use like a balance board on a ball, so you kind of like you work your core when you're sort of stood there. You're kind of moving around. There's lots of little things.
That's exactly what the bouncing ball is for, Paul. Exactly that. Yes.
How high do they go, Paul?
What, the ball, Mark?
The desk.
All the way from the bottom to the top.
That high?
Yeah, all the way up. They'll probably go. I mean, I'm 5'11", and I can put it up over where I would want it. So you could probably, if you was like 6'4", 6'5", you could get to a comfortable height.
Yeah,
like for example, 6'4", yeah. You'd probably find, The only thing that I would suggest is if you decided to get one, it's worth taking a look at which are the best for this, sort of like how solid they are. When you're sort of going to that extreme, you're going to the top of it, you may find it becomes a little bit wobbly, whereas the more expensive ones tend to be a little bit more solid. The ones I've got are flexi spot ones, and they're great. But the one I've got up in the sort of the upstairs, what was the old office, that's got like a 3.5 meter worktop on top of it. It's massive.
Really?
So when you extend that will move. Do you know what I mean? It's one of the IKEA. It's the longest IKEA.
I didn't
Just
even know
kill
you
that
could
whole
get one that
conversation,
long.
you know that.
What? That's a standing
That's it.
desk.
Yeah, it's extended right out, and it's surprising how solid it is.
I didn't even know IKEA had one that big.
Well, no, it's a flexi spot desk legs, the motorized legs, but the top is your typical Carlby, worktop, the sort of the oaky kind of type
Have you
thing.
ever laid down on it because it's that long and then risen?
Oh,
have you ever laid down on it and then hit the button to watch yourself rising up like a magic illusion? You know when like they used to they get someone to lie down and then the table rises.
Oh, bless him. Fair play.
There's a video idea. There is a
things,
video idea.
He's hungry.
Magic hour.
You killed this whole segment before where you're like, yeah, we don't take money. We're very poor guys. It's like you got 4 bedrooms, 3 standing desks.
No.
This is a poor man's standing desk. I'm using my fireplace as a standing desk. Yeah.
Don't forget the partridge in a pear tree.
Yeah,
it's like Dave said. It's just building redundancy into every aspect of his life.
It is, yeah. To answer the question, I mean, basically, when there's nobody around, what I do is I push the monitor back, I lie on it forwards, and I pretend I'm Superman.
Can you pre-program so it goes up and down?
Oh yeah. No problem at all. I just get my son to stand and just press the button. He'll do it anyway. He just up and down, up and down.
Oh, that's super cool, that is. But yeah, I'm gonna have a look at that now because
I love these deep web design conversations we have.
We never do. We never do. I always have to apologize at some point and go, look, I'm really sorry if you came here wanting to learn about WordPress and your business and whatever, blah 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 blah. But
there's nobody left watching. We're all in chat.
I know, but it's always I think it reminds people that we're real people. We have lives. We have problems. We have families. We don't have a chair like Artif. We have things going on, and I think sometimes I've said it so many times. A lot of us work, and like Johnny, you say you got kids, and I've got kids, but often the kids are either not around or they're at nursery or school or whatever. And 90% of the time, you're alone in your home, kind of thing, and unless you're speaking to a client or you got video calls, it's not that it gets lonely, but you kind of miss out on this kind of like chat, this vibe, this kind of like, interaction almost in a way. Jake says he's learned a lot about Uranus.
Uranus or Uranus?
Trust me, that camera is not on at the moment, so I don't know.
The only thing you learn on Imran's channel.
That's his OnlyFans channel.
No, I think Imran makes a good point because you can spend your day working. You get to the end of the day and just go, I've not actually said a word.
Oh yeah,
all day.
Or what you found was, so before I used to do a lot of YouTube stuff, I was obviously like, you have your radio on, and there might be some sort of like news channel on the radio, and they're talking away, and often I spent more time in the day swearing at the radio with, you don't know what you're talking about, whatever,
Jeremy Vine.
Yeah, and so it's being able to have that kind of interaction, and it reminds me of when I first started writing and joining like Twitter groups. We're going back 13 years ago now. And you started exchanging problems or feelings you had about writing with someone in Brazil or someone in another part of the world that you are never going to meet. But you formed this little bit of a bond. And I feel, you are all probably going to disagree, but there's a high chance I will never meet a large portion of the people that I interact with, either on a daily, weekly, whatever basis. But you form this like connection where you know that you can reach out maybe, and we don't know everything about everyone intimately, But you always feel like if you were having a really bad day and you just needed a pep talk, or you just wanted to sound out a problem, whether it was web design or even nothing to do with web design. I mean, come on, there was a time when I ran out of Pepsi Max. I felt disastrous. And I spoke to someone and they were like, just go to the shop. And I did just that. I didn't want to, you see. But you feel like you can, there's like-minded people. That's it. You know,
one thing I could say, if I can make just a comment about that.
No, you can't, but go on anyway.
There's one thing which is really good about the community is that there is a community vibe. But one thing which I'm seeing more of, maybe it's on certain platforms only because those are the only platforms that I use more, is this kind of tribal nature. Are you with this one group, or are you with this one, I don't know, tool or page board or whatever? And it's that's it. But if you take a step back from it, it's crazy and it's nonsense, because you're doing it for clients, or maybe you're doing it for yourself, but they don't care what you're using really. Ultimately, they just care on what the end product is. I think I've never had someone specifically say directly, I want this, I want that. But there's no need for this divide. We're all trying to, I guess, maybe try to go back to that community and helping, supporting each other. And I think
okay. So the question I'm going to ask everyone, we're going to give everyone a chance to answer this, is if you imagine there was none of this YouTube stuff, there was none of this Twitter, Facebook and all of that, in your immediate family or who you live with, could you talk to them about web design and WordPress? Could you? Because I can tell you now, I know, ain't happening. Maybe my son, because he loves to use Canva and ChatGPT. But if I speak to my wife about web design, and it's not big, and I'm not saying it because she's a female. What I'm saying is she just don't get it. It's like she could talk to me about sewing machines. I don't get it, kind of thing. I don't care. In my immediate family, I couldn't. So, Johnny, your immediate family, if it weren't for community and all of that, you feel like if you wanted to discuss problems, or I'm going to work with a client, do you think they would get it or be able to talk to you about it?
No, I don't think so. No, the only thing we talk about is who's cooking tonight and who's bringing the children to bed.
I think we all do.
No, joke. But not. I really also like when they are home, my family, my children. I just want to be there with them. So I don't want to see them that I'm on the screen all day. So I save my work for these days when they are at school or in the evening. So I really like to have that separate.
Good. Right. Paul.
I don't think I can. Sorry, I don't think I can talk with my wife about web designing. There I have you guys for. You are the pros in that situation.
Yeah, we accept your proposal. Right, Paul.
I got some reservations. Can we just make some notes on the proposal?
Yeah, no, yeah. So go on, Paul, what about you?
My partner, to be honest, I can talk to her.
Okay.
She don't necessarily understand everything I'm talking about, but she kind of comes from a design background anyway. So prior to what she's doing now, she actually did do marketing and design, and she dabbled a little bit in web design. So I do have that side of things. I can talk, and she's got a good design eye, so it's good. I can sort of like throw ideas back and forth, and we kind of do the same, both ways around. Like she'll talk to me about the things that she's working on. But that would be the only scenario. I think my son's a little bit too young at the moment. He's like 2, so I think he's just buttons to press. Yeah, so it is useful, but I kind of get where you're coming from. Like it can be very lonely when you especially when you're doing the YouTube side of things, because you do spend most of your life either thinking about what you're going to record, editing what you recorded, recording what you need to record, or swearing at something that doesn't work the way you expect it to.
Well, you forgot to put the microphone on.
Oh yeah, we've all lived that dream. Or your hard drives decided to go, bottoms up or whatever.
Yeah.
But it is good to have a community of people. And to go back to what you said, funny thing was, we started the live chat off today. That's exactly what we're talking about, the whole tribalism side of things. And I've talked about it on my streams, and me and Imran have talked about it in the past. And it is silly. At the end of the day, it's a bloody tool. It's a piece of software that does a job. That's all it does. If one works better for you and you resonate with it, go for it. You don't need to be elitist about it. It's there to do a job. That's it.
Exactly.
End of.
I know where that was then. Yes, Imran.
Oh, you do?
Well, they're just firstly, very quickly, Paul's tribalism thing. I think the problem is they're taking ways of doing things from outside of builders, and they're gravitating to this one particular builder because you can use those methods within it, and therefore have decided it is best.
Yeah.
End of. Okay. Anyway, go on, Imran. What were you going to say? And that was pathetic.
Outside of your immediate family, if you were having like a, a pushy client, or you were umming and ahhing about how you're going to approach a problem, is there anyone in your immediate family or that you could speak to?
My family, no, but I've got a business partner.
Yeah, exactly.
Got
Yeah,
my and then the dev I work with and have worked with for 10 years or so. But no, mostly for those kind of web design adjacent conversations. It's you guys, really?
yeah.
Artif.
What about you? Other than your uncle, we won't mention your uncle.
Let's not go
Oh
there.
yeah, I said
Let's not go
uncle.
there.
Other than your uncle.
Yeah, sorry about the noise, just having some building work. But if it's too
Okay.
loud, I'll cut off. But with my wife, I can speak to her mainly just about, does this look nice? She's
Okay.
like an artist, so she can help me like visually. But the most kind of times I feel alone, I guess, is when there's like a more technical problem and
Yeah.
I'm not sure what to do. That's when you're like walking up and down, struggling, talking to myself. Okay, how do I approach this problem? And that's when I find the community is helpful because when you're into something too much, you just get that tunnel vision, and
Yeah.
sometimes you can say something and someone's like, "Oh, you just do that," and it's like, "Oh yeah, I just need to take a step back."
And
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, and I think that we've all been in that moment where we had a really bad client, or the client seems to take over the project, and you feel inclined to do what they say, and and we're going back years and years and years now, and you didn't really like, who do you turn to? And even if you knew you had some people to turn to, you always had a fear. It's a bit like if you're working in an office environment and you're in a meeting and someone goes and says, and we're going to do the PAK. And you sort of go, the what? What are we talking about? You don't want to be the one that puts your hand up to say, what is that? What are we talking about? Because you don't want to appear stupid, or you're afraid, or whatever. And so the amount of like support that is now available for people, I think, is really, really good. And I mean, it's been there for a while, but I really feel like lockdown boosted things a whole lot more, because I feel like a whole lot more people were jumping into communities more. That's how I see it. I feel like prior to 2020, there were communities and groups out there, but I feel like we had more variety coming in. I think, it wasn't all just hardcore experts or people who've been designing from code and all that. We had more people coming in with different backgrounds, different skill sets, especially when we had people who maybe were doing other jobs. And now they were like, right, my career's changed now. You know what? I'm going to have a dabble with web design or logo design or something like that. And I feel like that just made the community so much more richer. I mean, that's how I feel. I feel like 2020 is when there was a bit of a catalyst moment around communities. Would you agree with that, or would you say I was in the wrong group?
No. Well, Lonely Hearts Club was probably not the best.
Oh,
place
they're
to go looking,
brilliant. They're really cheap as well. Black Friday deal.
One thing actually, I not too long ago went on the WP Bills podcast, and a lot of them are from the US, the other kind of guests, and they really talk up like WordCamps. It's a really big thing, and I don't think it's as big as it is here as it is there, but they really get a sense of community. And I don't know. I was thinking, I wonder, would that be a good thing if it was more popular here? Would you guys get involved? Would you want to be involved?
I've said many times that I've always struggled to go, I'm going to go to the Europe ones, mainly because of like time away, and then I've got other stuff on, and then kids, and then travel, and I'm being pessimistic here. And I keep going, if there was only one in the UK, if there was one in London, I think there's quite a few of you that would probably go to it, even if it was just for the day or so, and I would make time to go for it. But it's weird because since the lockdown, there is no WordCamp in the UK. There was going to be one in London, but they didn't get enough sponsorship this year, and it got dropped. There wasn't much marketing behind it. And then there was an event in Newcastle last month, and it was right up in Newcastle. And it was a very small event. It was a one day. It wasn't advertised a lot, but I feel like, it's very surprising, I feel, that we don't have like a dedicated UK. I know we got Europe, but you have the the US one as well, but you always have these little ones. You have WordCamp Malaysia, you have WordCamp Netherlands. There's always these little ones, but we just don't have the UK one. And
you are aware how many people live in Malaysia, right?
Sorry?
You are aware how many people live in Malaysia?
Not sure, actually. No, I mean, I haven't gone to Wikipedia lately.
It's like, WordCamp London does seem strange that we don't have it.
Yeah. I mean, I would have, would
I go?
You would. If you knew we were all going.
If
you knew Paul was going, our team, Dave would probably go. I mean, there'd be quite a few people that would go to that, John might even go as well. He's just jumped in. I think there's a fair amount from the UK community that would go to that. And no doubt you'll have all the big players going. GoDaddy will definitely be there. We get to meet GoDaddy. We all get to get a selfie on the GoDaddy stand, don't we?
Is he like Colonel Sanders? He's a fictitious made-up character.
Who's that? GoDaddy. Is it real? That'd actually be quite funny. Hi, I'm GoDaddy. Wow.
Definitely all got issues with that one.
Yeah. Hey, John, how are you doing, by the way? Oh, John, are you? I think sometimes John has a bit of a delay, so in a moment John might talk or not. I mean, even though John's just jumped on, I am going to be ending the live chat in about 2.5 minutes, mainly to give people time to go off and do other stuff. But also I'm got to get ready for my treadmill walk. I have everything timed. Of when I do my walks and what I like to do. It's all part of my ritual and stuff like that. But no, it's been really good, by the way. It's been really good having John's jumped off. It's been really good having so many people joining, and it's what makes the live chats always interesting. And I'm so glad I went down that route with letting people jump in, because it means that it's very unpredictable and we never know exactly what we're going to talk about at all or what we're going to do today. Mark, I am going to make a suggestion, Mark. Have you ever considered getting some special lights on in your background?
Right, in my office?
Neon lights.
Is it a bit
Everything
dark?
was better with LEDs.
No, it's not actually that bad, because you got light coming from one side. But I'm wondering, if you just got like a nice neon light on it'll be on your right-hand side.
That's
that side over there, yeah. Just something there. I don't know. I mean, like a red light. I mean, I don't know where your office is based, so don't be there late at night. But you could get something put on there.
I don't know, this night.
With this clientele, you'd probably be quite successful.
There's more light.
Oh,
especially if you say you do provide hosting. And you could say, well, I do provide GoDaddy hosting. That will just open the doors to all sorts, won't it? So, yeah. Is that a window you just opened?
No, I just turned on a desk lamp.
A desk fan?
Lamp,
sorry. Right, I think John's having connection issues there, so I'll just leave him out. But I want to say thanks to everyone. I'm going to end the live chat. Thanks for being here, Johnny. Artif for standing. Artif says that noise we heard earlier was like some building work. Now, some of you might think it was
a show home. It's a show home. I have to leave.
It actually sounded very much like he was pissing into a bucket underneath his desk. It had that same kind of sound effect vibe. So we can't see his hands. We can't see what is going on, so we can make assumptions.
Hey, look, let's be honest. It was the sales agent trying to get out of the locked doors.
Do you know what? Paul, donate me one of your 3 standing desks. I'm sure you won't miss one of them.
No problem.
I don't know why
I thought he was going to ask one of your spare bedrooms. Then,
yeah. In your
Oh my God.
100-bedroom mansion, yeah, one will do.
Can you imagine though trying to do a live broadcast from a showroom and then just another family walks in behind you, kind of thing? That would be quite hilarious, right?
Just put an
Thanks.
on-air sign outside the door.
What's that?
Just put an on-air sign outside the door. Just take one with you wherever you go. Just take it outside.
Oh man, right. I'm going to say thanks to Mark as well. Thanks for Paul. As always, thanks everyone for jumping on. I will be back on Tuesday. And yes, I've got lots to do right now. Treadmill and then some website design work. But I'm going to wish you all the best. And like I said, stay good, everyone. Look after yourselves. And of course, Christmas is coming up. So start getting your shopping done in time.
Amazon is open 24/7.
It is. 26, 25, 26. How many days? 26 days? Yeah,
Something like
26. 26 days or
Yeah.
20. I don't know. Right. Take care, everyone. See you all soon.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Adios.